It's August 23rd, 2025, and I'm heading into Philadelphia to ride every SEPTA mode. So why am I doing this? The short story is that Pennsylvania used to have dedicated funding for transit across the Commonwealth, which ran out a few years ago. Being the largest and most comprehensive agency, and despite running the most efficiently in the whole country, SEPTA feels the greatest effects. Pennsylvania was able to piecemeal some funding over the past few years, but that has run dry. The only option now is for the PA legislature to properly fund SEPTA in the budget. Now, the PA State House has passed 4 separate budget bills, and despite being 2 months past the budget deadline, the state Senate has only managed to gather recently to propose rating capital funds for operating expenses and wind up in this same situation next year. The Senate loves to whine about operational concerns while repeatedly not funding operational improvements. As a result, instead of spending until they go out of business, SEPTA is forced to induce massive cuts. For now, these include eliminating several bus lines, eliminating or slowing express services, dropping frequencies by 20% across the board, and a 21.5% fare increase, with most changes starting August 24th. After January 1st, several regional rail lines, more bus lines, plus the T1 and B3 will be eliminated. All rail services will stop at 9 p.m. I'm riding today to show a small part of the SEPTA network and why it matters to the region. With the majority of Pennsylvania tax dollars coming from this area, SEPTA is a huge engine to facilitate the state economy. After a mechanical delay and some seeing eye dogs going through their training on the Patco, I finally began. I started at the 13th Street trolley stop. Since all subway surface trolleys run through the loop at 13th, I took the T5, formerly the 36, one stop to 15th. From there, I transferred to the southbound Broad Street line, or B1, traveling one stop to Walnut Locust. I admired the vast pedestrian concourse, which, through a program called Color Me Back, a collaboration between Mural Arts Philadelphia and the city, once employed residents experiencing homelessness, poverty, and intellectual disabilities to beautify its columns. Like much of the concourse between Patco's last 2 city stations and Broad Street, this area has been fenced off for years, presumably in place of responsibility for security and upkeep of the space. To save a long walk, I went back on the Patco from its terminus to 8th and Market so as to transfer to the Broad Ridge Spur, or B3, at 8th Street. After January 1st, this line connecting Chinatown and Patco to North Philadelphia will no longer run.
Doors are closing.
I took the Spur to Girard to transfer to the Route 15, or the G. While this trip was not a PCC car, after January 1st, this line will once again only be served by buses. Taking the G to Front Street brings a transfer to the Market Frankfurt line, or L1, which hardly ever runs on time, as is. Imagine the on-time performance when a line that desperately needs more frequency has to take on even more passengers at a time. Taking the L to 11th, I proceeded to Jefferson Station, a vast, ornate space that could see almost half of its service reduced come January. On the WHYY line, we passed through Suburban and William H. Gray III 30th Street stations on our way to Clifton Aldan Station. After a short wait, the D2, formerly the 102, came for the trip through Delaware County to 69th Street. Once at 69th, I transferred to the Norristown high-speed line, now known as the M1. On a packed one-car train, I soon realized that the previous trip was canceled, which turned out to be due to a disabled train near Bryn Mawr. After a wait, we eventually left to wait even longer at Beechwood Brookline Station. To their credit, the station staff and operator did their best to communicate the delay. I almost got off to transfer to a bus before we started moving with little notice. Given the already poor schedules, I did a little calculation and exited at Ardmore Junction. This station offers great phone reviews plus a transfer to the Route 103 bus. As a bonus, this meant that for a brief moment, I rode on the SEPTA private busway through the former trolley right-of-way in Havertown. Being on the 103, this meant that I had now successfully ridden the SEPTA T, B1, B3, G, L, Regional Rail, D, M, and a bus, completing the regular SEPTA modes. Despite a few delays, I was able to do so in about 4 hours. While no one, aside from a SEPTA employee, should ever need to make this trip, I did so to highlight the usefulness of the network. I barely scratched the surface of the entire system, but it serves hundreds of thousands of people daily. The people of Philadelphia and its surrounding areas deserve good transit. While considering the traffic nightmares and economic consequences of service cuts, we should also remember the human cost when people can't get to work, school, medical care, family visits, or even just to make a personal trip and spend money in the local economy. I'll include links for groups focused on saving transit resources in the description, and let me know of any I miss. Support them in the fight for proper service and make your voice heard. As always, follow along for more on transit, food, and culture in the Delaware Valley and beyond.